Geoff Neal was in over his head as far as a full stand-up strike with Stephen Thompson ever since Geoff Neal was born. I mean, he just was. You have to be almost bred. You can't be. It's not good enough to practice a lot and be a very good lifetime athlete. You have to specifically focus on trying to have the best footwork that, of an A-level kind of combat athlete. It just, there's very few guys of that quality in the UFC as far as possessing the same constant quality footwork as Stephen Thompson. There's just very few strikers in the UFC like Stephen Thompson, period. And Geoff Neal, in my opinion, he was kind of in over his head from the start. He was a wrestler. I don't know too much about this Geoff Neal guy. Unfortunately, he seems like a good guy. He's kind of a wrestler with good striking. I'll admit he has very good striking. A lot of power in his hands, but he's kind of that normal, high level top 10, top 5 wrestler that turns into a good striker. Kind of, similar on the lines of like a Johnny Hendricks, if you kind of want to, put a name to a face and whatnot. He's a good striker. I'm not knocking his striking. His striking's very good, even at the highest of levels. UFC levels. These guys aren't high-level boxers. These guys aren't high-level kickboxers. You know what I mean? They're the next step below that, right? They're college-level strikers. They're college-level boxers and stuff like that. Stephen Thompson is one of the few quality guys that are over like a college level in terms of, different things. Because MMA just tends to be jack of all trades and stuff like that. You tend to get a lot of good wrestlers with good striking. And he does. He has good striking. It's clean. Everything's clean. Just looking at the video right now, reviewing the video now, everything's clean. Nothing's wasted. Good technique. Good speed. Just not enough hand speed. Not enough to beat Stephen Thompson. Good footwork, good foot speed, just not enough of it. Good head movement, not enough of a good rhythm game. I thought Geoff Neal had a great rhythm going into the first few rounds before he started to slow down and get a little tired in the fight and stuff. I thought he had great rhythm. I thought it was an overall very nice, well worked on striking game. But at the end of the day, it's a UFC level striking game going up against a non-UFC level striker, an above UFC level quality striker. This guy can contend with high level anything. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to just stay in the UFC. He's anything. He's that quality above. He's that good, and he's still that good at 37 years old. At 37 years of age, the dude's striking's beautiful, and it's not really slowing down too much. He might not be as youthful with his energy, as poppy with his energy as he was when he was 22 years old. But he's not really slowing down. It's more of an aged jab. It's more of an aged right hand, but it's still very refined. It's not old at all. He's still moving very, just as good as he used to. In fact, the commentators thought this job was as good as any sort of job Stephen Thompson kind of puts together in his prime. This looks like a prime level Stephen Thompson, and it does. He was going up against a pretty dangerous guy in Geoff Neal. So there was a couple things that Geoff Neal was doing okay. Pressure was good, keeping the hands high. There wasn't too much fat on any of his punches or techniques. There wasn't too many flaws in his defense or game. It's just, it wasn't complex enough. He didn't train, he didn't have that extra 10 years as a youth training specifically to move his head as fast as Stephen Thompson does, to move his feet as fast. So he didn't have the skills. Stephen Thompson, if you overload a guy with so many skills and you have him at supreme level timing, there's not too many people that are going to beat this guy. You know what I mean? In terms of striking, Geoff Neal is a good striker. He's a power striker. He's not going to be the guy to beat this guy unless he, it could happen, little gloves and whatnot. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah, I thought the fight was good. I thought it was, a good C+, B- fight. As all around, skill display. The skill display, I would have to grade Stephen Thompson as an A. You know what I mean? A. I mean, if we're going UFC standards, we have to go with where the company goes. This is UFC standards. So Stephen Thompson, as far as a UFC standard striker, he's an A. He's an A+ athlete as far as striking. And it's not really because of his hands. His hands, he likes to proclaim as being the fastest hands in the sport. I'm not sure if he's the fastest boxer in the sport. Probably not. His kicks might be up there. Hands are up there. But really, the thing that separates him from Geoff Neal and all those other guys, those UFC level strikers that are very good, but, still not at a supreme world-class overall striking level as far as kickboxing or boxing goes. Thing that separates him is it's the rhythm, it's the footwork. Everything's beautiful. Everything's set up right, just nice. Whenever he comes into range, he goes in during the perfect kind of rhythm execution. So he goes in at the right timing. He doesn't. There's no pause in his movement at all. It's all kind of ingrained in him. Everything's ingrained. He's been doing it so long that he's not one of those newcomers that have, maybe even like Geoff Neal has to almost question everything they do before they throw. It's just very natural to him. So it's at an elevated level, specifically of the footwork, specifically of the rhythm, specifically of the speed. Plus, it's just natural. He's been doing it his whole life. He is a born spider. You know what I mean? This guy, there's not going to be too many people. Just think about it. They think, when is the new guy? When is the new guy going to come and beat and stomp Stephen Thompson in terms of stand-up and embarrass Stephen Thompson in terms of stand-up? They're waiting for that kind of guy. They thought Geoff Neal, maybe with his power, well, that wasn't even close. There's never going to be a guy that comes close to beating Stephen Thompson. That's how ahead of the game he is compared to UFC fighters. Now, there will be guys that will get maybe lucky or will time maybe not lucky, but will time just the perfect punch and it'll do just enough damage, like Anthony Pettis did. He can be beaten. He just won't be. No one's going to take this man to school. No one's going to outskill this man. No one's going to teach this man anything that he hasn't already seen in his 50-plus fights as a kickboxer, 50-plus fights as a karate veteran, and 20-plus fights as a UFC veteran. He is the most skilled. He will know anything. He will know before. He knows the moves Geoff Neal is going to make before he even makes them. You know what I mean? That's part of the reason why he looks so fast. He already knows. He's thinking 3-4 steps because he has the skills to do so. So why not do that? You know what I mean? Geoff Neal came in good preparation. I don't think it was a lack of preparation. I think it was just an upper skill bound. I think he was just hitting the upper limits of his striking as far as the amount of work it took to get his striking to that level, which is many levels below Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson is just a lifelong striker. Plus, he's an A guy. You attach an A athlete striker to an A regiment over enough time, he's going to be a legend. And that's kind of what he is. Geoff Neal is 3 and 4 levels beneath this guy. He is 3 and 4 steps beneath this guy. As far as, so the thing that kind of I didn't understand is he's evidently this big, powerful guy. I mean, you look at the body type, right? You look at the body type of Stephen Thompson. He's a pretty decent sized guy, but he's kind of skinny. He's slim. He's tall. Maybe not quite lanky, but he's got a little meat to him. But he's pretty leaned out. This Geoff Neal guy, he's a little more compact. He's a little more powerful. A little stronger, maybe not as fast, but has more power in everything he throws. Maybe not as fast, but has more power in each technique he throws. I was thinking, Geoff Neal might, a better game plan would be to just simply do half and half. Threaten the takedown, work what you can, do whatever you can with the pressure fighting, but at least threaten the takedown. At least use some sort of takedown sometime throughout the fight. But for 5 rounds, I'm looking at this fight, and throughout the whole 5 rounds, he didn't even try to threaten it once. He almost didn't even think of the takedown. He was just trying to outbox Stephen Thompson with limited weapons, with limited tooling, and with limited knowledge, and not as much speed. You know what I mean? Would I like to see this fight again? Absolutely not. It's always going to end up being the same thing over and over again, unless Geoff Neal comes back from this and realizes, maybe I am a little bit limited. Maybe top 5, top 10 is very hard to do. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to, bring in some of the other tools I have. I thought this guy was a fantastic wrestler. Where's all the wrestling? This guy did no wrestling at all in the whole thing. You know what I mean? No position, no power, no movement. And then by the third round, he's spent so much energy following Stephen Thompson around and trying to attempt to box with him. He now no longer has the stamina or the strength to even take Stephen Thompson down. Stephen Thompson has some of the best takedown defense ever. You know what I mean? In any weight class. So he's a very, very tricky guy. It doesn't matter if he's 25, 32. It doesn't matter if he's 45. He will be a handful to deal with. He will be, there's basically a level as far as like top level guys go. And then there's the contenders, and they're all around championship level. There might be an average of 2 to 4 of them per weight class. Stephen Thompson will stay at contender level because it's just ingrained in him lifelong until he's 45, 50 years old. He's going to be a Randy Couture if he wants to be. You know what I mean? Geoff Neal, I'm kind of not disappointed, but, in his striking, it was good striking. It was but it was predictable. You know what I mean? Pressure. Put him up against the fence, try to lay a couple hands on him. Some will land, nothing really too devastating, and then just get lit up the rest of the night whenever you can't corner this guy. I mean, who can corner Stephen Thompson, period? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not going to be Geoff Neal. I mean, he's not a striker. In order to compete against Stephen Thompson in striking, not only do you have to be a great athlete, but you have to be doing it your whole life. You know what I mean? It's like trying to beat Tiger Woods at golf. You have to, if you want to beat a top guy, Rory McIlroy, you have to do it your whole life. You're not going to start when you're 30 years old. Start picking up the golf clubs. Start working on it an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day. Have a plan, have another plan. Get it down to it doesn't matter. Rory's been doing the same thing you've been doing his whole life. Plus, he's primed to that. He was bred for that. Same thing as Stephen Thompson. You're not going to beat this guy in stand-up. If you do, it's going to be very lucky or just at the right time. Geoff Neal, unfortunately, has neither capability, even with the power in his hands. He has neither capability. He doesn't have the tools to have the capability. He might have the power. He doesn't have the tools to use the power. Within 25 minutes, he couldn't land. Stephen Thompson taught this man a serious lesson in kickboxing. You know what I mean? Geoff, I was disappointed. He didn't threaten any takedown defense. I don't remember any takedown attempts being thrown at him at all. I remember some clinching against the cage, some minor takedowns against the cage, but nothing heavy. Nothing of Geoff Neal's game plan. He was fighting Stephen Thompson's game plan. Whenever you fight a striker and things are still kind of competitive, maybe he lands one, maybe another guy lands one. It's always going to be to whose timing is the battle on. And fighting is like a dance. Striking is like a dance. There has to be a lead. And normally the person that leads the dance for the longest time is the winner. It doesn't even almost matter the strike count. It could, but whenever things are competitive, you have an untrained eye viewing things, white guys moving around, black guy with heavy shots, blah, blah, blah. Things look a little, the ones that it all matters on who's dictating the pace of the fight, who's dictating the timing of the fight. And the whole fight was being dictated by Stephen Thompson. Even when Geoff Neal would back Stephen Thompson into a corner, use his pressure correctly, he still didn't have the timing. That's how good Stephen Thompson is. Even when Stephen Thompson shouldn't have the timing, he still easily had the timing. The whole fight. He was winning the whole fight, every second of every round. Now, I'm not saying it was uncompetitive. You know what I mean? It was a good fight. It was a good fight. I do not care to see at all a rematch between the two. Thank God for pray to God for or whatnot for Geoff Neal to kind of come out of this and become a stronger guy, stronger competitor. I think he has the tools. He's just a classic MMA fighter. He's a classic MMA fighter going up against one of the best sports specialists, the best in the business, the best specialist in the whole business. You're not going to have some normal man go up against a specialist in what the specialist is good at and end up winning the fight. It's never going to happen. It may be off a lucky shot, but again, even when he would pressure him up against the cage, it was all Stephen Thompson's control. It was all his timing the whole time. You know what I mean? He had no... this was a sparring match for the man. This was just a hard display of sparring. This wasn't even a fight. You know what I mean? I was good. I enjoyed it. But again, I give it about a C+. You know what I mean? Just because I was aggravated in Geoff Neal not presenting certain takedown situations, certain pressure situations that he should have. Just because he wasn't keeping up with the time. And even though Stephen Thompson was winning the whole fight round by round, second by second, the whole 25 minutes, he couldn't finish Geoff Neal. That kind of frustrated me as well. Whenever you're that much better of a striker, of a specialist than the other guy, and you're comfortably winning, go for the kill more. You know what I mean? So it's just, because of that, because Stephen Thompson didn't take chances, and because Geoff Neal just wasn't skilled enough, it was a classic C+ fight. It was, long distance, smooth, slick, agile fighter versus an aggressive, powerful pressure fighter. And smooth, slick, easily outclassed it. This was a boxing match the whole time. It was a complete boxing match the whole time. Stephen was comfortably winning every boxing exchange just about. Whenever the few times it transitioned to more of a brawling match, Stephen Thompson was still in control. He was still winning the brawls. It was not competitive. It looked okay. I do not wish to see it again. I hope best of luck to Geoff Neal. Hopefully he could overcome this sort of almost ego shock of going up against a guy so much better. You know what I mean? But again, he needs to stick what he's good at. He needs to stick with power based. He needs to stick with good speed, but control. He needs to stick with wrestling, a hybrid approach. He needs to be an MMA. If he wants to win in the top 5, he has to turn into an MMA fighter. Right? He can't turn into a striker. He can't turn into a boxer and expect to win in the top 5. He's not good enough. He doesn't have the skills. He doesn't have the athleticism. He's not smart enough. You know what I mean? He needs to turn into an MMA fighter if he wants to win any sort of fight in the top 10. Other than that, I thought it was a good fight. This vlog is done.